Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be previewing the Houston Texans matchup against the New York Jets for Week 14. The Houston Texans are 7-5, and after last night's loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers against the New England Patriots, what was the final score? I think it was 21-18 was the final score in last night's Thursday Night Football game. The Houston Texans are back in the playoff picture as the 7th seed, with the Steelers losing their second straight game. The Texans are back in, but if they want to stay in, they got to get a win. And with a team right now like the Indianapolis Colts, who are in your division and are playing some great football, winning 4 games in a row now, you gotta win. You gotta win this game. This is a game for the Texans, where this is a game where you should 100% win it. And they've had some games this season. Like, I'll go to the Falcons or the Panthers. Those are 2 games they should have definitely won, and they couldn't. And those were both on the roads. That's what kind of scares me going into this game. This is another one of those road game, another road game where this is one the Texans should get, but just feels like they might not get it. But I think going into a game where you're definitely going up, your offense is going up against a great defense, but your defense is going up against your defense is going up against a terrible offense. Injuries are bad for the Texans this week, though. Just about an hour ago, it was announced that Dalton Schultz was going to be out with hamstring injury, his second straight game missed. Tank Dell, obviously, I don't want to talk much about it. I'm still really upset about that, but he's out for the season with a lower leg injury. He just had surgery. He's on IR reserved. You have Sheldon Rankins, who is questionable in this game with an elbow injury, and he will be questionable starting defensive tackle. If I didn't already mention it, Noah Brown is questionable with a knee injury. Wide receiver George Fant is questionable, offensive tackle, with a hip injury. You got Jared Patterson on IR, out for the season. You have Eric Murray and Tegan Quintanilla, both on IR. You have Titus Howard on IR. He's out for the season. Dylan Horton, your rookie defensive end, is out with personal issues. Graylin Arnold is on IR. Kaimi Fairbairn, your kicker, is on IR. Matt Amendola replaced him. You have not only MJ Stewart, but Hassan Ridgeway on IR. Hassan Ridgeway is out for the season with an Achilles injury. And you have Kendrick and Kenyon Green on IR, both out for the season. And that's really it. So the injuries have been tough for the Texans this season, and we'll see how they can handle that going into Sunday, especially when they've lost some games this season on the road. They've I think lost 3 games this season on the road, but 2 of those games, that was the first game they lost was C.J. Stroud's first game of his career, and it was against the Ravens, and it was Week 1. But there's 2 other losses that the Texans have faced on the road this season against the Falcons and the Panthers. I know the Falcons are 6-6 right now, and if the season ended today, they win the NFC South and make it into the playoffs. So it's not like they're a terrible team, although they've had their flaws. That was a game against the Falcons that the Texans should have won. And then Carolina Panthers, they're 1-11, something like that. Texans should have won that game, never should have lost that game. So those are 2 losses that you really hate to go back and think about for the Texans, because you don't lose those games, you win those games. Those were actually 2 games that it was down to 2-minute drives for those 2 other teams, in the Panthers and the Falcons, where they were driving down to the end of the game. If you don't lose those two games right there, you're not. I'd hate to play the what if game, but you're 9-3, and you're winning the division, or at least you're leading in the division. You're better than Jacksonville, who would be 8-4. You wouldn't have to worry about Indianapolis. So these road games against teams that you're supposed to beat, they scare me a little bit. But against the Jets, who have a quarterback issue and their offense cannot get things going, I'm not too nervous about this game going into Sunday. But the only thing that really nervouses me is that the Texans' offense is going up against a good defense. Although this is a game where I could see the Texans having one of their worst offensive performances since they lost to the Carolina Panthers in that 1 week, whenever it was Week 9 or Week 8, whenever they lost to the Panthers. I could see them having one of their worst offensive performances since then and still winning the ball game. Like, the Texans scored 13 points against the Panthers when they lost against the Panthers. I truly believe the Texans could score only 13 points in this ball game, and it's still good enough to win the game. I mean, literally, that's it. Literally the amount of points the Atlanta Falcons scored on the New York Jets last Sunday to beat them. They won 13-8. So I believe that the Texans can definitely have a terrible offensive performance, which definitely can happen, going up against a great defense and still win this game easily. All right, getting into my predictions for this game. I don't know who Stroud gets to the ball to. I think it might be a little weird for him, going into this first game without Tank Dell. But Stroud has played a couple of games this season without Tank Dell. Keep in mind, I think earlier in the season, I believe it was after the Steelers game, Dell missed a game or two due to concussion. So Stroud's played a couple games this season without Dell. He has some good relationship with his wide receiver core, but no Dalton Schultz, no Tank Dell, maybe no Noah Brown. We'll see who he gets the ball going to. I think the Nico Collins, though, definitely he can get the ball to him, but he's just coming off a 200-yard performance, and with Dell out for the season now, you already know who's going to be on Nico Collins all the time. That's going to be Sauce Gardner. It's going to be Sauce Gardner. So, who, is it going to be hard for Stroud to get the ball to Nico Collins? And if it is, your next two guys up are Robert Woods. You got Robert Woods. You have John Mechie. You have Xavier Hutchinson. And you have Noah Brown if he plays. So we'll see what happens. Getting to my predictions for this game, I think the Texans' defense has a dominant day. I'm going to go with another interception for Derek Stingley Jr. in this game. He has a streak right now with interceptions. He has 3 interceptions in the last 2 games. It's 4 interceptions in the last 3 games that Derek Stingley Jr. has. I think Derek Stingley Jr. gets another interception, his 5th interception in the last 4 games. I think he gets one against the Jets. Shows the Jets that, hey, you made the wrong decision in drafting Sauce Gardner. I don't think they did, but in the last couple weeks, Stingley has turned things around for the Texans. And, early in the season, he was getting a lot of hate because he earlier, I think it was week 2, he went on IR reserve. So, definitely got some bust comments from Texans fans. Texans fans were going crazy on him. But he's turning things around in the last 3 weeks. I think he has a big performance against the New York Jets with that terrible offense. I think Stroud has a good game. I think even though he's going up against a great defense, I think that will, I think he'll still have a good performance on Sunday. And I really do think that for the Texans, even if Stroud has a good performance against the Jets, team is 4-8, it's not impressive to beat a bad team, but to play good against a good defense, that's impressive for the rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud. I'm going to say he throws a touchdown pass or 2 in this ball game and throws for over 200 passing yards. I think he clears 200. Right now I can't say, if I definitely think Stroud gets over 200, but not too far after that. I mean, the Jets, their Jets defense is allowing 180 passing yards a game. So, and that's like the fewest passing yards that a team, gives up against the New York Jets. So, I think the Texans can definitely have a good game in this ball game offensively. I think Stroud definitely needs to get the ball to his Brevin Jordan. Obviously, Dalton Schultz is up. Dalton Schultz is out, but next man up is Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan had a good game last week with 3 receptions for 64 receiving yards. And the Jets' defense this season has allowed over 500 receiving yards to tight ends and 7 touchdowns, averaging 40. Their defense is giving up 41 yards per game to tight end. So I see a big game for him if CJ Stroud can find him open. That's the video. If you guys enjoyed, let me know your thoughts on the game today, and peace out. Go Texans.